chew the mint so fast.
From Chris Howell Communications, this is Principles for Success, the Chris Howell Podcast. Success is something we all want to attain in the various areas of our lives, but it can be challenging. So in this podcast, Chris aims to have conversations with those who have achieved a level of success and hopes that principles they share will help you to remove the roadblocks and move you to victory, whether it's relationships, business, or any other area of life. Are you ready for success? Here we go.
All right. Thank you, Joy, for that wonderful introduction. Really appreciate it. Again, welcome to the Principles for Success, the Chris Howell Podcast. I am Chris Howell, and joining me today is
Oscar Hawk.
And
Coco Raleigh.
And a very special guest,
Tonya Brown.
All right. Thank you, LaTonya, for being here with us today. Hey, you know what? We've got a very special show lined up for you over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. We're going to talk about a number of things. This month is dubbed as National Bullying Prevention Month. We're going to talk about that. LaTonya is going to weigh in on that. She's a former educator, principal, and she has dealt with this firsthand. Of course, here in North Texas, we had a recent situation where an alleged bullying situation went to an extreme. And we want to make sure we do our part in the community to prevent such instances from happening. So we're going to talk about National Bullying Prevention Month, which is, again, this month, October. Also coming up, we're going to go into Coco's Corner. Coco's got a number of things she's going to be bringing to the table. She has the ability to find some of the most unique stories. Coco, I know you're probably not going to give us your secret, but you tend to find some of the most unique stories.
Yeah, I surf the web and I get stories all the time, so I got some stories for you that's going to kind of blow your mind this afternoon.
You really do. And now tell us, because you and I we've been knowing each other for a number of years, but you've always done this type of work in terms of bringing entertainment and information to just really uplift the community. But your Instagram handle that you are using most recently to really share information is what?
It's Cheap Booze and Tea.
Cheap Booze and Tea. We'll get behind the name of that here in just a moment. We're going to talk more about that. And then my right-hand man here, Hawk, we go back like Cadillac seats. I guess 20 years or so we've been riding together. And this is my light-skinned brother from another mother. We always got to distinguish. I was going to say my fellow light-skinned, but I guess I'm not light-skinned. So, hey, man, you doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. Fantastic.
Good. Give me a little bit more in your mic. Let them hear your voice, man. You don't try to play it off tonight.
My midnight voice.
There you go. Normally you try to work it, so let him hear it tonight. But he's going to be talking about relationships and just really, all things parenting, all things relationships. Really, again, empowering our community. That's Hawk. So again, honored to have him sitting here with us tonight as we delve into this. Thank you for logging on, and I ask that you would please share it with someone because again, we've got a very important topic tonight as we delve into National Bullying Prevention Month and how we play our part in ending that.
Absolutely.
Before we get into our guest, let me give you a little bit of her bio so you know that she's well versed and able to talk about this subject that we're talking about tonight. Again, it's National Bullying Prevention Month, and joining us tonight to talk more about this is LaTonya Brown. She's an educator. She has used her gifts to provide outside-the-box educational opportunities to her students, landing her a middle school principalship in one of the largest urban school districts in the country. It was during her tenure that her campus was transformed to provide an environment conducive to critical thinking and authentic learning experiences. The campus also made history as the first school in the country to petition the Board of Trustees to change the name of the school. Now, the name change was granted and the story went viral. This movement served as a precedent for individuals requesting the removal of monuments and changing the names of several schools in her city and throughout the nation. And you have seen name changes take place throughout the nation. And again, it all started with LaTonya School. That school was John B. Hood. It was changed from John B. Hood to Piedmont Global Academy. LaTonya will tell us more about that in just a moment. More about her bio. Mrs. Brown has served as a Chief Business Development Officer, using her role to build one of the fastest growing wealth management companies in the country, while also serving as Vice President of Kingdom Concepts, LLC, co-founded with her husband, Cedric Brown. She and her husband now work together full-time to help individuals and business leaders realize their dreams of economic freedom and the establishment of generational wealth. LaTonya Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, let's talk about this this name change. What brought that about, and then we'll delve into more about the bullying aspect of it.
What brought that about was a 7th grade history class, believe it or not. Wow. So I had a teacher who approached me regarding students in her class who approached her because she was teaching a lesson on John B. Hood. And that individual was a Confederate general who had held slaves, and our school was named after him. Our school was majority African American and Latino, and the students said, you know what, we really don't want our school name, to be named after this gentleman. It's not a representation of who we are. And so my comment and my response to her was, I'm on board. I'm always on board for things like that. But my main goal was there were 3 things that had to take place at all times. It's got to be positive, productive, and professional. If at any point we lose sight of any of those things, and we're going to abandon the project itself. Yeah. So we made it an educational process for the entire campus. So the history teachers then took the responsibility over of educating the students about what it is we were going to do. We had assemblies. During those assemblies, I made sure that I let the students know that what they were doing was far beyond that campus. So what we see right now is what's happening here, but this is going to be something that spans far beyond what we could ever imagine. And I had no idea what I was saying when I said it, because I had no idea that the story would go viral. Yeah. So we let the Board of Trustees know what was going on campus. Our trustee at that time, an amazing woman who really helped us out with getting everything done. And so initially what I said is we're going to take a vote, because what we want to do is we want to make it all student-led, and we want to make it the decision to be a student-made decision. Mm-hmm. And so what went viral was the voting process, the entire process that we went through. So the students, first of all, had to vote as to whether or not they even wanted to change the name of the school. So interestingly enough, the 8th graders who'd been there for a while and they had roots in the school, they voted to not change the name of the school. Mm. However, the 6th and 7th graders voted to change the name of the school. And that's what really tipped the scales on how we ended up going through the process in the first place. Wow. And so from there, I had them to review the criteria that was given to us by the district. And we had students who were able to enter into a contest to rename the school. Mm-hmm. So they had to go and do history. So let's go do the work. Let's figure it out. So let's find a new name for the campus and make a decision as to how we want to name it from there. And so with that, we had some students. They came back with lots of different things, and again, we had a vote on the new name of the campus. But it was a huge incident in the community. What we didn't realize, or what I didn't realize coming in, I think that might have been my third year as principal, coming in, and there was a little bit of history about the neighborhood that I didn't know. And that was the prestigious neighborhood. We're here in the middle of Pleasant Grove, mm-hmm. but that neighborhood was one of the most upscale neighborhoods when the entire area here in this portion of Dallas was developed. Wow. And it sits at the highest point, the second highest point in the area, because the residents wanted to be able to see the skyline, have a clear view of the skyline from the privacy of their own homes. There's a golf course and everything over there. Wow. We didn't even know that. So the things that we all learned in the process was amazing. But and we fought a battle in order to get it done, because there's a lot of deep-rooted individuals there that don't necessarily look like us, and they wanted to maintain their portion of history. And there are a lot of strong words that came across the table with regard to making that change, and how some of those citizens, those older citizens who were there, I had no idea that the school was segregated in the past. And so learned all of those things and how people felt about segregation and all that. So had some very serious conversation with some people who had very strong opinions about whether or not we should change the name of the school. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? The will of God always prevails.
Yep.
And so those students, their voices were heard, and we were granted the right to change the name of the school.
Absolutely. And you changed it to what?
Piedmont Global Academy. So Piedmont is the neighborhood, Piedmont Syene. The street that runs along the side of the school was Piedmont. And global is global learning opportunities and balanced leadership, I want to say.
Okay.
Balanced academics and leadership. I want to remember exactly what that acronym stood for, but global was an acronym, and then Piedmont was just the name of the school. And that came from a lady who had a lot of strong words to say, and the lady was very racist. But one thing, and I listened to everything that she had to say when she talked to me on the phone. She said a lot of things that were just really crazy. But at the very end, you know, she just talked herself out of breath. And when she got to the end, she said, you know what, if you got to change the name of the school, just don't name it after another person, because we don't want to have to go through this again in another 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so the students thought about that. And so their entries, and I let them know, hey, this is an option. And so when I let them know, some students did come back with other names of individuals, but some students came back with just names of the area that we live in and things like that.
Okay.
And so the arguments back and forth were presented to all students, and they voted accordingly. So they heard the lady too. So I heard her, the students heard her, and we feel as though what we did and what we taught the students to do is to compromise.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we gotta all get along, because we live here. This is our community. So to give them a sense of community, and one big thing that it helped us to curb was it gave the students on campus an agreed upon common goal, a shared vision.
Wow.
Because when I first got there, we were having all kinds of fights, gang fights, the Latinos against the African Americans and all this. But it gave us an opportunity to see who everyone was in that area as a people. This is who we are here in Pleasant Grove, Texas. And when the other when other people from the outside look at you guys, now we're hearing what they say about all of us. And they don't care about the color of your skin. They don't care if there's no such thing as a Latino is better than, you know, an African American in the eyes of people who are on the other side of 175.
Yeah.
Some of those people, right? They're not making those differences. We're making those differences. And until we learn how to stand together and come together and defend our own community, then none of us are going to win. And so they learn that valuable lesson.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to say. I mean, and that's why I wanted to start with that, because that was so powerful. I mean, in addition to all of the lessons that you just laid out, one of the things they learned is you do have a voice, and your voice does matter.
Absolutely. And
that's going to lead us, even when we're talking about bullying, again, we want to help our students to understand, if you see something, say something. Your voice could make the difference in the life of another young student who could be in a situation who don't have a voice of their own.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for what you did and helping change the name of that school again, and it helped to restore the voice of our children and help them to understand their voice matters. And again, just really helping to even change the way that community is seen, because again, they saw that they will stand up for themselves.
Absolutely.
Hawk, what do you have on that?
How long ago was the name change?
This was in 2017.
17.
That was my last year.
Okay, so now these 7th graders are now high schoolers.
They're coming on out of school.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think this impacts them going forward, being involved in something like this?
A huge impact, and especially those students who came forward as leaders in the process, because we had some students who naturally emerged as leaders of the process. And so those were students who, anytime any media came to the school, and everyone was there, all of the channels, including Univision, Telemundo, they were there.
Yeah.
And they were filming. And so one of the things that I was led to do was to put students in front of the cameras and not teachers, not myself, was to put students. We were interviewed over the radio. People would call in, and I'd go get a kid pulled out of class. Hold on just a moment. because I've got somebody for you to talk to. It wasn't going to be me. It wasn't going to be my voice, because my voice didn't create the movement. Therefore, my voice was not going to be the one to explain the movement. I celebrated the movement with them, but I wasn't going to use my voice as that. I didn't want to use it as an opportunity for me to look some kind of a way as a principal, like to elevate myself. No, we're going to use it to create a movement. And the deal is this. I know you guys are probably familiar with that year when they started tearing down the Robert E. Lee statue and all this stuff downtown. That was the same year that we had our ribbon cutting.
Okay.
And so what happened from that was then, okay, so our students having the moral courage, operating in their civic responsibility, all these things that we teach them from elementary school, they created a movement far beyond the small campus of that little school, right? And so having that done and seeing that happen right here in DFW, but then fast forwarding a little bit, right, to when Donald Trump got in office. And so then people across the nation were saying, hey, we got to get some of these statues down. And he's like, well, you're going to go to jail. So we've got all these arguments going on nationwide, whereas all it took, because what do they say? Out of the mouth of babes, right? So all it took was for these children to step forward and do things that adults hadn't done for centuries past, right? Effectively. So their courage, their moral courage created what? Either whether you call it the butterfly effect or whether you call it the ripple effect or whatever it is, they could see the point from where we started and the point from where we got as a nation. And they were able to sit there and take a look and see there are people who are out there who they had a great message, but they didn't execute it the right way. And so the students were able to, you know what, that's not positive. That's not productive, and it's not professional, the way they're doing that, right? So they can see the difference in how the adults succeed and fail when they attempt to exercise moral courage as well. So,
talking about adults exercising moral courage, I want to talk about National Bullying Prevention Month. When parents, and being a former educator, you certainly have had the opportunity to, administer situations such as this. When a parent goes to a school and says, hey, my child is being bullied, I need your help, and the school doesn't respond, what rights does a parent have at that point? What approaches should they take to, get the school to act?
I tell you what, let me tell you where that starts. So it starts, first of all, again, like we talked about, are the student voices and the students doing what they need to do from the beginning, okay? And so one of the things that we gotta do a better job of, whether it's in the school systems or as parents too. Because sometimes, we get so frustrated and the parents expect the school to raise the kids. Well, hey, there are certain things, there are certain common principles that you got to teach your kids at home before they even get there, right? So some of that will eliminate the issue. But what we've got to do as parents, we got to make sure that our kids, regardless of whether they're going to school or out in the world, they need to be educated about how to handle themselves. Because all day long, we're teaching cognitive skills. All day long, oh my gosh, you got to be good in math. Because, I want you to go off and be a scientist, or a science to be a scientist, math to be a mathematician, or, I want you to be a doctor, lawyer, and you need to be able to read and write and do all these things. But what we don't talk about with our kids are the non-cognitive skills that help us survive, okay? You got an A student, goes to college and drops out. Why? They didn't have any non-cognitive skills. What are non-cognitive skills? The non-cognitive skills are the ones that tell me, hey, I better go tell somebody that so-and-so is bullying me. That's self-advocacy. I'm going to take up for myself. I'm going to exercise moral courage. When I fail and I'm not used to making B's and C's, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it again, right? And so those are the non-cognitive skills. But when we don't teach our kids that at home, and we don't teach our students that, because now we're so focused on passing the STAR test or whatever other standardized test that comes out, we're not even thinking about the fact that this kid is drowning because they have no life skills. No skills that's going to help to preserve their mental capacity and their mental well-being, which is why now we have a national pandemic of mental health issues. Okay? So first it's got to start there. So you got to make sure that the students know, number one, what bullying is, and let's not brush over it just so that we can meet the requirement. We're required to teach bullying. Brush over it and we're not really paying attention to it, right? So this is the issue. So we got to go back before we can talk about, well, what do you do when they don't? First of all, you got to make sure that your kids know what bullying really is.
Right.
Okay? Because if I got beef with you and we talking trash all the time to each other, and I wasn't scared then until you beat me up. Right. It's not bullying, right? You and I just had beef, and we've been talking, okay? And we just ended up getting into a fight, and I just lost.
Right.
There's a difference between that. You're beefing with me, and you're the popular girl. Now I'm scared. I'm sick. I can't go to school. And nobody can figure out what's wrong with me. Parents taking me to the doctor, all this other kinds of stuff. There's nothing wrong. But I'm so sick. This is a real pain that I'm having. And I can't go to school because I'm afraid now. Because what you're coming at me every day, and it's become 2 words that parents need to know to give to school districts. It's severe, it's pervasive, it's harassment, it's assault. So what we've got to learn is to teach our kids to protect themselves, number one, and go and let that teacher, that counselor, or somebody know, hey, so-and-so is bullying me, use the word. Oh, well, Jenny, how do you know that it's bullying? Well, every day she pulls my hair. Every day she's pulling my hair. That's assault, okay? Now, there are clearly things by law, 10 in the state of Texas. I just went back and looked it up. Okay, it all started back with David's Law. I don't know if you guys remember the 16-year-old kid that committed suicide because in San Antonio because he was being bullied and no one was doing anything about it. So since 2016, hey, there were clear things that were supposed to happen. And that puts things into law with regard to Texas Education Code, but also with regard to Texas Penal Code, because bullying is a Class C misdemeanor. Last time I checked. Okay. So we gotta make sure that as parents, number one, the first thing you do when your kid comes home and lets you know that something's going on like that at school, don't brush it off. Oh, boys will be boys. Yeah, until your son gets killed, right? Because all it takes is for me to push a kid the wrong way, and we're on the stairwell, and now the kid's dead or paralyzed or whatever else, right? So what we've got to do as parents, number one, is take things seriously. Listen, take things seriously. Ask your kid, what did they do? Like, what did you do? Okay, just tell me. Okay, so you were walking down the hallway and, because let me tell you, a friend of mine coined it this way, and I love it. He said, documentation rules the nation. Sure does. So, okay, what day did this happen? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, okay, well, was it like, before homecoming or after homecoming? Oh, okay, well, yeah, before homecoming. Well, right before that same week of homecoming. Yep. Okay. So you're kind of narrowing that timeline down. Oh, well, I was in school. Well, what period was it? Oh, I'm not really sure. Was it before lunch or after lunch? Oh, well, whose class were you coming out of? Okay, now we can pinpoint a time. Where were you at?
So talk about what's the significance of the time? The
significance of the time is this. Most campuses, and I'm not sure in our school districts, most of those campuses, they have cameras. Okay, so if I'm in the hallway between Miss Smith and Miss Johnson's class, and I'm saying that so-and-so, every time I'm on my way down that hallway, somewhere in between there, they keep pushing me. They keep tripping me. Okay, so now as a parent, you have the right to review video. You have the right to do so. And there are certain things that as a parent, once you ask the school district, when you put in a request to the school district in order to view video, or you put in requests for, like, let's say you find out that, yes, this really is an act of bullying and this kid needs to be, and it is severe, it is pervasive, then once a parent, and see, a lot of times parents spend too much time talking to the assistant principal, the third grade teacher, the counselor. You spending all your time talking to people who have no power to do what needs to be done in order to protect your kid, and too much time is going by. And now the bullying can become even more severe because guess what? Somebody knows your kid told.
So that's the reason for the show. So you just talked about they're talking to the principal, they're talking to the teacher. We don't know anyone else to talk to. What's the next best option?
So the goal is this, and you know what, I tell you what, everything in life is based on biblical principles, okay? So what you got to make sure that you're doing is, what does he tell you? You go, what? If your brother, right? If you have aught with your brother, you go to your brother, right? So then you find out from the kid, like, okay, what's going on here? Okay, yeah, so-and-so's bullying me, blah, 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 whatever. Have you guys talked to the counselor? Now, a good campus is going to have a peer mediation program in place. Oftentimes, and sometimes I don't think that it's worth it, but oftentimes when you get the two parties together that have an issue, sometimes they can't even figure out what the issue is, right?
I agree.
Sometimes they end up becoming friends because it was so stupid. You know, Jenny said that you said that, you know, there you go, that my mama was at the grocery store and, you know, she had rollers in her head and, you know, I don't, you know, oh, come on now. I didn't say that. So then during peer mediation, what you can do is get out of those individuals. What is that underlying thing that causes you to have a problem with this person? What is that underlying thing? Then you come back and you get an agreement with what are each one of them. What would make you feel better, comfortable? What's going to make you feel comfortable? What are you willing to do to make it better? What are you willing to do to make it better? And oftentimes, whenever you do that, you can really come to a viable solution. And oftentimes, a lot of these kids were at a younger age at some point. They used to be friends. And they fell out of friends some kind of way. They're mad about it. But then you got the chatter from the other kids. And so now I'm going to start bullying this one because I know this kid. It's the one that was the weaker of us two. So now I'm going to, in order to make myself look cool, I'm going to pick on the kid that I know we kind of have a relationship. So initially, like, that kid's not going to come back at the other kid. You know what I mean? Like, man, we used to be friends. Like, I don't even know why she's treating me like this. I don't even know why he's doing this to me because we used to play together. Right. So sometimes it's the person who's the easiest victim because you want to look cool in front of kids who you're not even going to know.
Yeah.
Okay, in a few years, right? So a lot of that kinds of stuff happens, and because that is happening, you cannot tell me if the campus is doing what it's supposed to do. There's not adults on that campus that are completely oblivious to what's going on. Because first and foremost, it's happening inside of the classroom. There are little things, there are little signs that we all know. So you're going to find out from that kid, who did you say something to on campus? Okay. We're going to attempt to have a conversation with that adult and find out, well, what happens? Ask the adult, what happens next? My kid's being bullied. What happens next? The law clearly states what must happen next.
So tell us, give us those steps in the last 3 minutes. Give us those steps.
Okay. So what must take place is the counselors are the ones who handle bullying reports, right? So one thing that they're going to do, yes, they're going to attempt to resolve it with the students themselves. If they can't resolve it with the students themselves, let's say there's continued bullying and things like that. Well, first they got to identify it as bullying. So that whole scenario that I gave you on that.
And what's the textbook definition of bullying? The
textbook definition of bullying, in my own words, so I'm not going to give you any act that's considered to be that it's persistent, it's severe, it's pervasive, it's unwarranted. Think about sexual harassment. That same definition. Now put it to bullying. Okay. There's a such thing not only as a bullying of kids in school, but also workforce bullying, all those kinds of things. So when you think about all those forms of harassment and the general definition of harassment, I'm feeling uncomfortable. You're making me uncomfortable, right?
I have a question. So, and I'm going to talk on the kind of the real side of when the kids come home and, you know, they're upset, you're mad as a parent, and it's a fine line when us and our community, because, you know, the first thing our parents tell us to do is you better not come in here crying, or the person, if they hit you, you better hit them back. So I guess what I'm saying is it's a fine line, I guess, between teaching them to take up for themselves and not be bullied, but then at the same time, once you get that power that you can take up for yourself, and then it kind of just rolls on. I guess, I don't know if it's just kind of like a confidence thing or whatever, but you telling the kids to fight back, or like me, I want to fight the kids myself
as a parent.
Yeah, you know, I'm being real.
Can't do that.
We can't fight the kids, but I'm just saying.
We gonna be coming up the street over here, wherever. I know we downtown somewhere. We gonna be coming to get you.
I'm just saying what they want to say. So I just want to know, like, how do you teach your kids to stand up for themselves without actually teaching them to bully as well? Or maybe, you know, kind of project that same energy off to somebody else? So
the first and foremost with the kids is going to be try to resolve that issue. So get with somebody who can help you resolve the issue. And if you got friends that are pushing you up to fight and all this other kind, that is not the way to handle it. you're going to have to not listen to them. So that's number one. But I totally get what you're saying, okay? Because, yes, like, well, you're not going to be a punk and all this other kinds of stuff. This is what we do, you know, in our areas. However, here's the deal that you got to make sure that it's perfectly clear with a kid who's being bullied. Okay, you need to be making every effort to walk away, to get yourself out of that situation. If you see a way of escape, you're going to try to get out of there, okay? Now, yeah, if you know that your kid is a bullying victim and things like that, and they put them in self-defense, I recommend that. But you need to make sure that for every camera, every eye, every cell phone, and everything else, you were attempting to get out of the situation. You're not going to stand there. I'm not getting ready to argue back and forth with you. I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to, you know, my hands are up. Don't want to fight. Everybody can clearly see this on camera. Right. So then you hit me. Now it's on. Okay. Because what do your parents tell you back in the day? Don't start no mess. Yeah. But you do what? You fight back. You finish it. You finish it. I ain't gonna start none. Yeah. But hey,
I'm not gonna teach him to walk away now. Or get beat down either.
Yeah, you're not gonna take a beat down. But what you have to do is it has to be clear that you're making every effort to avoid the confrontation. Okay. Does that make sense? Like, and this is a non-threatening thing here. Like, hey, I don't want to, like, I'm telling you, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. I'm good. Right.
And I guess that's one of the reasons, one of the big issues right now with the guy that is in Fort Worth is the fact that they're saying that he was being bullied and he was like wearing nice clothes and all this other stuff. But I mean, it was crazy because he was fighting back. He got a gun and all this other stuff. But I mean, it's like, you want to sympathize with who he shot, but then you also want to sympathize with him too, because it's like, you know, the poor kid was getting bullied. So,
and it's like being in war. So think about somebody who's in the military. Like, we send our kids off to school, and we just think that everything is la-di-da, especially like when they get into middle school. Okay, they're going into a war zone sometimes, depending on what school these kids have to go to. So you think about somebody who's going through not a post-traumatic stress disorder, but just traumatic stress. That is not something that is reserved just for military personnel.
So as someone who's, and you may have just answered it, but someone who's been inside the school system, you really feel that bullying really is just as bad as we imagine it is in schools today?
In some schools, it most certainly is. Yeah. I can tell you where my kids are in school. My daughter, I have one, left in school now, but where she is now, she was surprised that everybody was so nice to her when we moved from where we were living to our new area. Like, she was just freaking out. She was really freaking out and really sick about going to school in a new area for the first time. And so much so that we actually homeschooled her for a year. And that's just how traumatized. I didn't realize how traumatized she was from the school system where she was before. But then she starts school in this new district, and everybody was so nice and welcoming and so kind to her. That was foreign to her. Yeah. And what we've got to do more of in school systems, which we're not, is making the school system itself. And it depends on where we are. Some schools totally are doing this, but there's too many that aren't. I'll just say that. And the ones, and a lot of the ones, not all of them, but a lot of the ones that aren't, have too many kids in there that look like us, man. Come on, man. So we're walking outside with flags and picket signs and all that, and yelling in the faces of white people and saying Black Lives Matter. No, you go look at your kids down the street that's bullying your kids and killing your kids in the street that look just like us, and you tell them Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
We're gonna put it where it needs to be.
You said something a moment ago, having a conversation with our kids and really understanding where they are. I had the great fortune today to talk with licensed professional counselor, Kendall Brown, and she talked about how they feel and really being able to really ask the right questions to assess how your kids feel. I want to go to this video real quick and come back and get your thoughts on that as we close out this segment. And you quoted the stat, 1 in 5 students would likely, or 1 in 5 children were likely bullied in some case. But I guess the other side to that is 5 out of 5 can actually help in preventing bullying. So I guess as we get into that piece, what do we feel those 5 out of 5 can do to prevent it?
Good. It's a good question. So earlier I kind of mentioned how we tell children, see something, say something. When I was a teacher, see something, say something. And so um, just recently I was talking to a group of students and they said that they saw fights at school. They saw things, but nobody says anything. They don't go home and tell their parents, oh, I saw a fight. Because they don't want their parent coming up to the school, right? Or asking, why is there a fight every day? Who's doing something, And so if a kid is getting beat up every day, that kid may retaliate at some point. That kid may have some hurts that he is upset about or she's upset about, or they may start self-harming or think of suicide. And so we have to protect one another. And that begins with talking about it and asking your kid. I mean, now I'm asking my son, did you see a fight at school? Like I have to ask that kind of thing. And he's like, not today, Mom, and I wouldn't have thought to ask that specific of a question. But we have to get our kids to talk about it. And so they won't feel like snitches too. We have to tell our kids it's okay to talk. It's okay to go tell a teacher, find a safe person, tell the principal again and again, making sure that they are aware that they do not need to, keep these things a secret. And the second part is don't be a part of it. Don't share that picture. Don't share that post about somebody getting beat up. Don't share, those negative or harmful rumors about a kid, because that's bullying and it's cyberbullying. And so then you're only being a part of the problem. And, that's how retaliation happens as well. And so making sure that our kids are aware of how to treat others, making sure they're kind to one another, because it could be them. And so we want to share that with them as well, making sure that they share. No, we don't share, but share only the things that they see, the negative things. See something and say something.
And you quoted the stat, 1 in 5 students would likely, or 1 in 5 children were likely bullied in some case. But I guess the other side to that is 5 out of 5 can actually help in preventing bullying. So I guess as we get into that piece, what do we feel those 5 out of 5 can do to prevent it?
Good. It's a good question. So earlier I kind of mentioned.
Well, welcome back. You're listening to and watching the Principles for Success, the Chris Howell podcast. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Again, I am Chris Howell.
Oscar Hawk.
And Coco Riley.
And special guest,
Tanya Brown.
All right. We're certainly enjoying the conversation tonight as we talk about National Bullying Prevention Month. That was a video we heard that we did an interview with Kendall Brown earlier today to talk with her. LaTonya Brown, who's a former educator and the principal who led the name change from John B. Hood to Piedmont Academy, Piedmont Global Academy. Let me make sure I get that right. She led the change in that. So first school in the nation to change the name. So she's talking with us tonight about National Bullying Prevention Month. Coming up in just a moment, Hawk is going to be talking with us about relationships, all things relationships. But before we get into that, Coco is going to be sharing with us from Coco's Corner some of the latest at entertainment news and some of the things that are going on. She's always doing a great job of keeping her ear to the ground and talking all things entertainment. But LaTonya, you've been spending some time with us. Before we let you go, I want to ask you once again, as we talk about National Bullying Prevention Month, what can parents do? What role can parents play in the helping prevent bullying?
I would say just remain open. I heard the video, I wouldn't necessarily ask my kid every single day if it's happened, because that's just putting spirits in the air. Like, I don't want you to go to school expecting something to happen. Yeah. But if something does happen, I'm going to make sure that I'm approachable enough. So be that parent that if your child tells you something that makes you uncomfortable, even though you're screaming on the outside, your kid sees you as calm and listening. And you need to keep yourself, listen enough to where you can help your kid. And when we talk about having our kids reporting it, see something, say something, yeah, that's good in theory, but depending on what school you're at and depending on even the adults in the school, it may not be a good idea for you to go to an actual person. So if you tell your kids to go tell a person, it's got to be one of those teachers who's mature, and there's not going to be an issue because you told an adult at the school. But then also, by law, every campus, every school district has to have an anonymous way of reporting bullying, just like it has an anonymous way of reporting everything else. So if you want to report anonymously, go ahead and do so. And then if it continues, just let your parents know, hey, I did file an anonymous report, but they didn't do anything. And then the parent can start making reports themselves, and they can tell them, I want to remain anonymous. However, what my recommendation is that you look it up. Go look up the law on bullying in your state and quote these things. Say harassing, assault, severe, pervasive, bullying. Use those words, because those are all trigger words that once it's typed into the system, because they've got to type in a summary of what was stated. Once those things are typed into the system, those things trigger action on behalf of the school district. And you can petition the school district to move a kid who is bullying your child, and they must move the kid. It's the law.
Wow.
It's the law. Go and look it up. You can look it up on YouTube, and you'll see videos that will quote law and tell you what to do when. That's my recommendation. Educate yourself in the event that it's something that comes into your realm. But first and foremost, and above all things, don't operate in fear.
Yeah.
Don't operate in fear, and don't anticipate the worst. Just because your kid goes to a certain school or whatever. We're gonna trust God. We're gonna pray. We're gonna be vocal. We're gonna be vigilant, right? Mm-hmm. And we're gonna be visible in our kids' lives and visible on the campus.
I love that. I love that.
The teachers and stuff need to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. Because I guess many times when we don't have that level of information, that level of knowledge, we feel helpless, and we feel like Coco talked about a moment ago, we feel like the only way to respond is to retaliate. Or just go as a parent, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And now you're an adult in someone else's kid's face, and that leads to a whole nother level of situation. So now knowing that we have a way to get the school to respond by using specific language, that helps us to really play our part.
And documentation rules the nation.
I love it. Any final thoughts on bullying before we go to break from either of you?
I just want to talk. Can I ask about accountability real quick as far as the teachers? Do they have any accountability when there's like the students are fighting? They're kind of just sitting around watching. Can you explain that real quick?
Okay, so depending on where you are, some of that is like you protecting yourself. Okay, because anything can happen when you allow yourself to get into a mix with kids who are fighting. But really, what needs to happen is, and this is what I taught my entire staff when I had a school, was you always got to be visible, vigilant, vocal, visible, vigilant, vocal. Because guess what? If the kids see you out there, where are you? Where are you in passing period? Are you in here sipping coffee, talking to your friend, catching the cell phone call, or what? Or are you in the hallway paying attention to what's going on? Because just like in your own home, kids go to school 8 hours or so a day, right? And we all feel this spirit. We in here together every single day. When something's brewing in your house, you feel something brewing in your house.
Right.
And so that's the way the staff and teachers and things have to. They gotta get the rhythm of what's going on in your house. This is your house, and the kids don't come in here to rule your house. Right. So just like you wouldn't let a robber come in and you're not gonna let these kids come in here and run your house. So when I feel it getting heated, now we get ready to handle this before it gets to that point.
Correct.
So yes, the teachers do have accountability. Yes, study the law, honey, because you'll see everything that everybody should have done along the way. And you can file specific reports against specific people whom you believe should have enacted specific action at the first point when they were made aware that there was an issue. Not when the fight comes. You won't have to jump into a fight. If when little Sophia told you that these girls had beef with her, you would have gotten them into peer mediation.
Wow.
Well, what happens in extreme bullying where mediation doesn't work? Maybe the kid gets expelled, but you still have to, that person that's being bullied still have to deal with the bullying outside of school, the retaliation. There's no teacher to tell at that point.
So that's a very good question. So when things like this occur, okay, if the acts that are taking place are severe and pervasive, even though they're off campus, they're severe and pervasive enough to cause an effect on campus, it's still a campus issue. So if there's a lot of cyberbullying going on, and I think somebody mentioned something about that, you don't post a video, share a video, don't get on Snapchat, because guess what? It's not a snap. People think that. However, if given to the police department, those phone numbers and all that other stuff, that stuff does not disappear that you think disappears. So don't be fooled in thinking, oh, I'm going to do it through Snapchat because that message is going to dissolve. I beg to differ. As a principal, I've given that information over to campus police, and they will figure out who is cyberbullying whom. And that is, again, just like with everything else, that is considered to be, now they've added that. At first that wasn't added. Now they've added cyberbullying to the pure definition of bullying. Now, it being severe and pervasive enough, that is a law, that is a crime.
Wow.
Okay, and so you can't be the one who, well, I'm not the one who was hitting Sophia, but I posted it on social media. Ma'am, you're going down.
Yeah.
Because you incited that incident.
Yeah, that's important to note, because a parent could find themselves in court just because their child forwarded a video or posted a video or shared it or what have you.
Don't get involved. Don't comment on it. Don't comment on it. Don't have anything to do with it when all of that's going on. Wow. Okay, because all of that can be found out. And I'm telling you, they go down the list of everybody who commented, who shared, who did whatever, and they're calling them in. They're going to call you in a little bit at a time. If it's a good enough campus, that'll do that. Yeah. Okay, because I had that kind of campus. I was pretty much known as the female Joe Clark. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to get it taken care of, because our house is going to be clean.
Cold.
Wow. And we certainly appreciate you for doing that, because
Thank
again,
you.
it keeps our children safe. It showed them, again, they have a voice, and that voice does matter. So LaTonya Brown, thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. Again, it's the Principals for Success podcast, the Chris Howell podcast, and we're talking about National Bullying Prevention Month. That's been our segment on that. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to get into Coco's Corner and talk about the latest in entertainment news, and she always has a way of finding the most interesting stories, so we're going to hear those in just a moment. Just on the other side of this. Take a look at this. We'll be right back.
When I tell you, you don't even have to see this gentleman, you just have to hear his voice. He is incredible, dynamic. I know I've been with my wife on several occasions, and she said, that's Chris Howell speaking. And I'm thinking, oh wow, this guy is just incredible. But with that being said, I'm honored to be able to give you this Charles Edward Bailey Award. For Mr. Bailey, he would be excited to know that he's given an honor like this for someone like you. So with that being said, let me present you with this Charles Edward Bailey Award here.
Good morning. Reggie added some pressure when he talked about the voice of the speaking. And I'd ask Ms. Gray if I could just say a few words, just to first of all say thank you. Thank you to the Greater Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to the Bailey family, Reggie and his team. Thank you guys. But I also want to say thank you to my folks over at DISD. So thank you. Mr. Waddle talked about Brother Bailey, and I had the opportunity to do a little bit of research on him as well when we learned of the award. And I learned a lot of what he talked about when the business and him being a visionary and seeing things that other people couldn't see. I learned of him being a great leader. But one of the things that stuck out with me most is when we stumbled across the obituary that had been placed online of him. And a number of people talked about the impact that he had had on their lives. Talked about how they wouldn't be where they were today if it were not for what he had done for them. And that's one of the things that I aspire to do at Chris Howell Communications and Chris Howell Foundation. So again, I'm honored to receive the award. And again, thank you to you all for the recognition.
Mr. Bailey was the kind of person that he enjoyed everyone. He loved everyone. And as it was mentioned earlier, he was a visionary. And he played a big role in the success of our black community when bringing in businesses.
And Mr. Bailey was just a different type of person. He was a person that had so much vision. I mean, he didn't want to just go ahead and just get by, but sell things that were just for the get by. No, he wanted the best of the best.
I just think he's such a well-rounded entrepreneur and does such amazing work with the community. You know, he is well deserving of this award, and I am so happy that he received it, and I was so thankful and happy to nominate him.
I think that Mr. Chris Howell deserved this type of award because he has the same, to me, it's the same demeanor, the same way Mr. Bailey has. He was always want to do for others, serve the community. Nice, godly man. Chris Howell, I've seen him over and over countless times do so much for others and serving the community. If it's at the food bank or whatever it is, he's done quite a bit of different things there here for the just not only just in Dallas, but the whole Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
I agreed with him that he was also a great candidate. I mean, he was the best candidate because he, like Mr. Bailey, he gives so much back to our community that he needs to be recognized for it. So Mr. Chris Howell Sr. tenure is well deserving of this award as well.
All right. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Principles for Success podcast, the Chris Howell podcast. I am Chris Howell and Oscar Hawk.
Tanya Brown.
Special guest LaTonya Brown with us this evening, and that was a video there. Again, thanks to the Greater Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce for that award. Really appreciate that. Again, that was the Charles E. Bailey Award, so certainly grateful to receive that just a couple of weeks ago, and just wanted to share that video with you as well. So again, tonight we are live. We are live on Facebook. I know we're rolling videos and we're rolling in different elements, but we are actually live on Facebook. We just had a very extensive conversation regarding National Bullying Prevention Month. We're talking with special guest LaTonya Brown. She's a former educator. We talked with her a good deal about that. So if you're just logging on, you want to go back and actually catch the part of that conversation, go over to YouTube, look up the Chris Howell YouTube channel, get the full conversation. You'll be able to check it out there. As we continue in our show this evening, we're going to talk about a number of the things here in just a moment. We're going to go to Coco's Corner in just a moment. She's going to bring us the latest in entertainment news. But before we go to Coco, LaTonya, I wanted to ask you one other thing. We talked a moment ago about Kingdom Concepts. Tell us, what exactly is Kingdom Concepts?
Well, Kingdom Concepts is a company that is based on biblical principles, Matthew 6:10, where it says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our motto is the kingdom has come. So basically what we do with Kingdom Concepts is we help coach individuals and businesses through kingdom living, concept by concept by concept. So a portion of that, what we do, we have where we work with credit restoration, debt elimination. We work on personal credit, business funding. So we help businesses get funding. Also, we have Kingdom Homes and Investments. That's a business that where we either fix and flip properties, sell them back, or we buy properties, hold them, lease them out. We have Kingdom Cares. That's a foundation. That's a charitable foundation. We have Kingdom Studios. That's podcasting studios that can be leased out in our business. We have Trust Up. And that's where we work with individuals with asset protection and things like that. We help individuals get into investment opportunities. So regardless to whether it's real estate or it's something else, we have Kingdom Cars. Kingdom Cars is where we have vehicles out there on Turo, luxury vehicles. So whatever it is that makes some good, clean money, hey, we don't mind checking it out. And once we do, we'll let you know. We have Kingdom Wellness. Kingdom Wellness is an initiative where we're dealing with mental health and behavioral health for youth. And we'll be that's something that's up and coming within the next 60 to 90 days. Also, we've been approved to open a Mayweather Boxing and Fitness location, and that one will be in Arlington Highlands, in that area. Yeah, Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. Yeah. So also there's a couple of restaurant concepts that we're working on in Cedar Hill Highlands as well. So we've got a lot going on. Myself, my husband, the visionary for the for Kingdom Concepts itself, and certainly just give us a call, or check us out online, kingdomconcepts.biz, and you have an opportunity to take a look at all of the concepts and see where you fit in, see where we can help. So that's what we're doing, is just helping individuals just realize kingdom living. Basically, that's what we do. Man,
we talk about principles for success. I mean, that's certainly what we're talking about, how to position yourself to succeed. And again, kingdomconcepts.biz, that's the website.
Kingdom Concepts with an S.biz.
There you go. Go and check it out. All right, Coco, it's Coco's Corner. And now we're going to turn to Coco as she gives us some of the latest in entertainment news, or whatever she's had her ear to the ground to hear this week. Coco, what's going on?
What's up, everybody? This is Coco, and you are tuned in to Coco's Corner. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the vaccination. So I don't know if you guys heard, but Greg Abbott says that no Texas business can force employees to take COVID-19 vaccine. Now, for some people, they're really happy, but I guess I want to know, what does that mean? What does that actually mean for Texas? Because so many people are looking for a way out to not take the vaccine, that I think that's going to either it's going to grow Texas, or Greg Abbott is going to be in trouble so soon. But for me, I'm happy because, you know, I'm still kind of over the fence with the vaccine. But, you know, shout out to Greg Abbott that giving us a little more time to think about this vaccine. Second in the news.
Hold on. You can't just run past.
Okay, well, go ahead. Tell, what are you guys' thoughts about it?
When was that announced? That businesses cannot force it.
That's what I want. I want to get some more information
Today.
on.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the businesses that have already enforced it?
Well, I don't know about what's going to happen with the ones that have enforced it, but there's an executive order that says that they can't make you get the vaccine. So
Yeah, that's going to likely be challenged in some ways, though, because again, you've got the federal mandate that says if you have your government contracted company, then you certainly will have to. So American Airlines and others who are based here in Texas who have now said that they are going to mandate it. We're going to see how that all plays out. So
I'm excited.
interesting. I need to do some more research on that because I hadn't heard that, but it is interesting to hear that he's taking that stance because, again, that's going to put those companies who have government contracts into
and let
a
me
thick battle.
quote a tweet. Let me quote.
Oh, that's a new wait.
Quote a tweet.
Quote a tweet. You heard it here first, all right? So if there's a new platform called Queet, it started here with Coco.
Right. So let me quote a tweet that he tweeted. He said the COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and our best defense against the virus, but should always remain voluntary and never forced. So with that being said, he is not trying to make us some people get vaccinated, but I'm very excited to see how that's going to work out because it's
interesting
like
to say the least.
It's an infraction of our Bill of Rights. I can see why he's doing that because what else are they going to be able to force us to do or not do in the future? And I'm a Demopublican, honey, so so I'm not leaning on either way here because at this point I don't know what they're both kind of crazy, but at the end of the day, I can see why he's protecting the rights of the citizens because at some point we're not going to have any. So if today they're saying that you have to get the shot, then what's the next thing going to be?
No. And I certainly agree with that. But again, I guess it puts the company in a bad situation when you've got a federal mandate, and again, you are a government contracted company. It puts you in a pretty tough situation if you're based in the state of Texas right now. What's your next thing?
So the next thing is we want to talk about a guy that's got sentenced to 22 years in Florida. When I tell you why he got sentenced to 22 years, hopefully you won't laugh, but
22 years, wow.
22 years. So the guy is a veterinarian, and he was in a Facebook group, and he was uploading videos of bestiality.
Oh my God!
And child porn. Well, no, not the child
porn. So is there a Facebook group for this?
There is a Facebook
and Facebook
group.
Allows it?
According to the
or was this an
report.
Accidental upload?
No, this is a group that people that does this. They enjoy this stuff.
And they put it on live?
It's in the group. So the groups are public. I mean, the groups are private. So it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but as the point that Tanya made earlier, your Facebook account is not private. I mean, Facebook has access to it, and they can be mandated by the government to have to turn it over, particularly with child porn.
Well, I guess he found that out.
Which is how he got 22 years. You're right. I guess
he found that out. But what happened was he uploaded.
Private is not always private.
Right.
Exactly.
He uploaded the video, and when he got indicted, they actually kind of raided his stuff and looked in his computer, and that's where they found the child porn. So he wasn't actually uploading the child porn on Facebook, but it's when he got arrested and all this stuff, and they went through his stuff, and then they found the child porn. So to him getting the guilty verdict, he was saying that he was molested and that his mom was like getting beat up and stuff before him. This is not who he is, and he feel like that they should kind of like lighten his sentence. So
was it 22 years for the bestiality, or was it 22 years for child porn? That's the question.
And was he in? Like, is it?
It's him.
That's the video. He's in it.
Him
with the kids.
I don't think he's messing with the kids. I think he's just uploading it from something else.
So he's in possession of it.
He's in possession of it, but he was actually messing with the animal.
Because he is a veterinarian. He's a veterinarian. So
yeah, he's gross.
Where do you find this stuff?
I just surf the internet, and you know, I got the topics all on cheap. You hear me? Cheap booze and tea. That's why the name is that, because
Cheap booze and tea.
Yes, because
If you go to Cheap Booze and Tea, you're subject to find all type of news. It's on Instagram. And it's on Facebook too, right?
it is. It is.
Pretty large following on Facebook.
It is. I'm grateful.
Over 20,000 or more.
Over 21,000.
21,000 people.
Yeah,
so check it out.
It's a lot of people that's crazy like me.
Well, you're not crazy. You just like interesting stories.
Right.
Is there another one, or you done?
I have one more, and this is just to kind of. I just want to get some feedback. We all know that R. Kelly got convicted of his little trafficking and his little bad things, but it doesn't seem like that us as a culture is actually trying to counsel him. Which they said that his sales went up the day that he got evicted. Lord Jesus, there's another one. Ding ding.
You're fine.
The
You
day
did. He
got convicted. They said that his sales went up 500%.
Oh my gosh.
500%.
500%. I didn't even know it can go up 500%.
Is there a chance that people didn't know who R. Kelly was, and that's why they went up? Is there a chance of that?
I don't know. I really think that there's somebody that's just they're not trying to counsel him.
But that begs the question then. If you've enjoyed the music prior to, do you then just not listen to the music because now you've got this newfound knowledge? I mean, is that the case? If that's the case, then to the point you even made about the school, the woman said, don't name the school after another person because you're likely going to have to you're going to find out something about that person that you maybe then end up trying to rename it. So could that be the case for all people that we admire?
I don't.
There could always be something that you don't like about that
I-
person. Maybe it's not to the degree in which R. Kelly did with those alleged situations there, but you could always find out something about somebody that you don't like, and then you want to cancel.
I think the biggest argument with R. Kelly is his art, and his music and his art is so amazing. But I guess it goes back to people thinking about how he made the music. So it's kind of like a catch-22 or something, but the music is what it is. Like, people love the music and they love the art of the music. Robert Kelly himself has to deal with his own consequences.
Absolutely.
But as far as him getting in the studio and being able to touch your soul, I mean, he did a phenomenal music, but unfortunately, him as a person, he needs help.
So can we separate?
Hopefully
the
he'll
two?
get that.
Can we separate the music from the person?
I would like to separate the music from the person, but some people when you listen to him, you don't think about. I'm not thinking about that when I'm listening to his music. I'm still in that moment in time of whatever I was feeling at that time. I didn't know what was going on then when he was making the music. I don't know what's going on now when he's making the music. Oh, well, it's not a thought that processes when I'm playing it. I don't play it around my kids or anything like that because, it's just, I don't want to have to answer. Yeah.
So I guess that's an individual decision. But like you said, the music go up 500%. But then I guess percentages are always skewed. So when you say 500% from, I mean, what numbers does that equate to? It's always what I'm always questioning.
11.3 to 14.3 million.
Oh. Well, all right then.
Yeah, that's a very, it's painful, but it's an indicator of where we are, where our moral fiber is as a society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of people are like that, though. If you look at the lives of a lot of people who were known as geniuses or all these other things, there was this dark side, for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But when we think about today and how we respond to that, where are we? Where are we?
Right.
Where is society?
You said something though earlier when you said a pandemic of mental health or mental issues. Like, that's all I can say about that. It's that is so true. Like, the pandemic brought on a whole lot of PTSD for people that just they're in denial. But yeah, it's a lot of stress going on right now.
Yeah. All right. That takes us to Hawks Hangout. Hawk, what you hanging out with and talking about over in the Hawks Hangout today, man? Come on, man. Give us something.
You see me?
So you look right. Okay, adjust your seat.
She's like, just let me buckle my seatbelt.
I'm going to go back to a conversation that we had a couple of months ago. And the question was, why aren't our relationships thriving? So, after we had that conversation, I took a look. I've been single for several years. And so, I sit back and I analyze. And a lot of times when you meet someone, it's almost like that honeymoon phase. Everything is, you're transparent, you're open, there are no expectations. But as soon as you get the title, and we hear a lot of times, after we said I do, everything changed. After we became boyfriend, girlfriend, I became a man, my woman, everything began to change. So I want to open up a conversation. I want to ask you all, do you think that when we put titles on relationships, that it changes the dynamic of that relationship as far as expectations?
I will let I'll let her start with that.
You thought you were just going to talk about bullying.
I did.
This is another woman in the
So, you know what? And I don't know that it's so much about the title. I think that it has a lot more to do with the essence of the commitment. I think that's what it's about. And, of course, we talked a little bit before about that whole yin and yang situation, right? So we were okay as long as we were fornicating and doing all that kinds of stuff, right? And the devil makes sure that all that stuff feels real good, honey. It feels good to go and do X, Y, and Z. And we're so free and we're so into each other and all of that. But sometimes I do feel that when we talk about how the spirit realm works and that yin and that yang, man, because for every good thing, there's that opposite thing as well that's out there. But it's all a matter of how we deal with it, right? And so then some people just don't do a really good job of dealing with it, because it's like everything was good until now I'm supposedly committed. And that doesn't even have to be through marriage. That can be through just, we decided it's just the two of us.
Right.
But man, okay, so man, now, every day now, shoot, this toast right here, it's dry toast now. Now, tomorrow I think I want some buttered toast. Then I want some jelly toast. Then I want a little honey toast. And then a little jalapeno honey toast. Because now this toast is dry toast when this toast was all that toast before we decided this is all the toast I'm going to eat.
So you think the commitment?
So I think it's the commitment thing. Because now that I'm committed to this toast, it don't taste like as fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're going to have to work on that laugh.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you just did a great job of explaining all the different forms of toast. And I'm
But
just
you
like,
see what I'm
okay.
saying?
I see exactly what you're
Like,
saying.
I was enjoying it until I knew there was such a thing as jelly toast.
And is it grape jam or
There you go. Then now
strawberry?
it's more than one kind of jelly toast out there.
When she said jalapeno, though,
There you
that's
go.
what threw me off.
The jalapeno, honey. So you know what I mean?
Jalapeno on top of the grape?
That's what I'm saying. Is that it's just that's been with us forever, right? Since biblical, it's been with us, and it's not going away. It's just a matter of the essence of the man or the essence of the woman and how we deal with those demons when they come knocking at our door. Because we do have free will.
Yes.
So are you saying then, in essence, you do feel that putting a title on it does add a little bit of added pressure to
I
Hawk's
think
point?
it does. I think that measure of commitment, the minute you make a commitment, regardless to whether, like I said, whether you put a title on it or not. Because sometimes we're afraid to put a title on something. We're not going to say that that this is I'm not going to ask her to marry me, or I'm not going to really just say this is my woman or whatever, or this is my man. But just the fact that you made that whole commitment, and now your time and your treasure and your everything is right in here, then here comes the devil, man. Because that's his job.
But when everything is going fine, right? You get to know someone, you're transparent, and then you add that title and that commitment. Do you think that's when it goes south?
I just think that when you make a commitment to moving, when you move forward to do what we naturally would call a good thing, then there's always that opposite force that's coming in. It's coming at you. And again, I'm just going to say it's all a matter of the essence of who you really are. That's what makes how you respond to that. Like either I'm going to resist that, or I'm going to repel that, or that's a familiar spirit that I'm going to entertain. Yeah. But either way, it's a familiar spirit. So either it's a familiar spirit that you know cost you another relationship that was valuable, and you're strong enough now to say, I recognize that spirit, so I'm not even gonna fall for that one. Or I like that. That's my aphrodisiac. That's what makes me high. Is ladies still think I still got it? Or men, I must still look like I'm 20 and I'm 50. And it's just, it's all a matter of how we deal with it. Because yes, the minute you commit, whether you call it something or not, there's always a force that's waiting.
Yeah.
To drive a wedge in between that.
It's almost like this outside expectation when you call somebody your girlfriend or your boyfriend. It's this outside expectation that you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, when in the beginning you're just doing what you naturally feel like is right. There's no commitment. You know what I'm saying? There's no commitment, so you can be yourself. And then when you allow a person to be themselves, you'll know if they like jelly toast, jalapeno toast.
Absolutely.
Toast. But when you add that commitment, it's almost like you have to shut down, because I'm supposed to say that I don't want these things. And I think that a lot of times we jump into the commitment so fast, and being with someone or being married to someone, that's a lifelong commitment that we just often just rush into without knowing the other person, because we don't give them a chance to be transparent.
Or we put the added expectations in there. Oh, now you said that. See, at first this was all. There you go. At first, this is all I expected.
Yeah.
But now that you said that, this is what I'm expecting. Yeah. And so I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Absolutely.
I actually think that titles doesn't mean anything, to be honest. I am more, like you said, I didn't grow up into a household or thinking that dating and getting to know people was a healthy thing to do. I always had been seen, heard, looked at. You get with a man, he your man, you clingy, you got all these expectations when you first meet this guy. I'm talking about the second date. So it's like, as you grow and as you start having expectations for yourself, you start not being as reckless with yourself, then you start setting other standards, which allows you to actually get to know somebody before you do things that would have caused you to like go beat them up, you know?
And she's keeping it real. So you were tracking with her until the end.
I was tracking to the end. She was like, girl, now I got to go get you from over here again.
But see, you my girl. You can come get me. You can come get me. But I had to, as a woman, and a lot of us women, we do not know that. We think we're so obsessive with our hearts and our love and the people that we love, because we don't know nothing else. Like, I'm just being honest. I didn't know that it was okay if I'm dating somebody, if he's openly and we're not together, it's okay for him to see other people. If it's not a conversation where we sat down and said, I am responsible for your feelings. I want to be responsible for that. I want to do this for you. I want to do that for you, which puts me in a situation to say, hey, I'm going to quit seeing. Now we're exclusively dating. Now I can start doing and giving myself on another level, because you only getting this much on this level anyway.
So does the commitment make you exclusive? Because it's almost like I'm going to love you because I'm committed. Not because I'm free-willed and I want to.
Well, I think the commitment does make you committed, and it does make you exclusive. But that's the commitment.
Here's the thing. It's a conversation that we both sat down and had and agreed upon, so it's not a problem. If you are saying to me, I want to do this for you and you want to do this for me, then you're going to have to deal with what comes along with that commitment, because you agreed to it. It's something totally different when I'm dating you and you're committed to me. That's two different mind frames. So, like I said, as a woman, I had to grow through some things and say, hey, you got to stop doing the same stuff and want different results. You got to start taking time for yourself. You got to start learning who you are. You got to start learning who this guy is, because after you did all these things and went out to the movies, you like this guy, and then this guy still is not giving you what you want. Not because you're missing it, but he's telling you, we just friends. We just this. So I say be honest with yourself. Be honest with the woman or the man, and like truly give yourself that time to say, do I want, because a commitment is a responsibility. Do I want to be responsible for this person? Do I want to be responsible in a healthy relationship? Because when you get the cheating and being reckless, you shouldn't even ever been with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
So I say date. I say get to know people. When I say date, I'm not saying exchange anything. I'm saying literally get to know people, because you don't know nobody in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months.
Exactly.
You really have to commit to dating to get to know a person.
And then when you make the commitment, keep your commitment.
Correct.
Yeah.
I like what you said a moment ago. You said be responsible for another person's feelings. And
Yep.
I think sometimes we don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's a difference between being responsible for the person, but being responsible for that person's feelings and what you do to either hurt their feelings or
Absolutely.
make them feel
That's a good
wonderful.
point.
And know what
So-
makes them comfortable and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And in that ways, it doesn't matter if the status changes or the title, if there's a title or whatever added to it. If I'm mindful of that, if I'm mindful of what makes you comfortable, what makes you uncomfortable, I'm always mindful of that.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, some as we mature, as we get older, what we desire may change. So what if in the beginning I want jelly toast, but in the midst of our commitment, I want something different?
Then I think that that's a conversation that you have with your partner. And I tell you what, you'd be amazed, because either you grow together or you grow apart. But at the end of the day, what we've got to do is we've got to grow, right? And so you'd be amazed at what the other person is okay with. They probably was like, well, I want a little bit of that jelly toast too. You know what I mean? And you just didn't know that because you hadn't said anything about it. So that's why
What you say earlier, conversation rules.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Openly communicate.
It be a lot of times guys think that women want one thing, and we really doing stuff because we think that's what y'all want.
Exactly.
But if you was to come and be honest, you might not get the same privileges, but at least you're giving me the option to say, okay, you know what? If I do deal with you, I know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So just be open and honest about it. All right. Hawks Hangout, man. Boy, you get deep. What else you got over there, man? Anything else before we move on to the next thing? Because we got to land this plane in just a moment. As we get into the final segment, it's Principles for Success podcast. Each of us, we're going to come and bring to the table and bring a principle for success. Coco, you go first.
So I wasn't really prepared for this, but I'm just going to speak from my heart. I would just say being successful, be true to yourself. Do not let people talk you out of your dreams. Don't let people talk you out of, like our guest said, don't walk in fear. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful of the people that you hang with and that you give your energy to. But at the end of the day, do not quit on yourself.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. And I will go next. I guess for me, I guess one of the biggest things that I've learned is really guard your time, guard and manage your time. It's extremely important because it's not just the guarding and managing your time. I guess what I've come to really learn is that many times I would have time on my calendar, so I may pick up a phone call real quick, or I may glance at social media or online, and then find out now I'm not only giving my time, but I'm giving my energy. And like Coco just said a moment ago, man, that energy, you really got to guard, because I will spend more time, even after the phone call has ended, things of that nature. I'm still expending energy toward a conversation that I just had that I really didn't have the energy for. So guard your time. When you talk about trying to be successful, you've got to focus, you've got to tune in, and you've got to guard and manage your time. I know we all hear it and we all say we do it, but we don't relate that energy piece to the time that we're giving to things that we really shouldn't be giving our time to. So guard your time. Oh.
Principle of success. I recently lost my dad several weeks ago, but he left me some great memories. Yeah. One of the memories that he left me is when I was a kid, I would always get up extra early in the morning to see him get ready for work. And even when he got older and didn't feel well, I still watched him struggle to put his socks and shoes on. And so my principle that I learned in that instance is just be consistent, even when you don't feel like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the only way that you're going to find success is by your consistency.
Wow. Great stuff. LaTonya, I know you didn't prepare for this, but you're hanging out with us, so we're going to ask you if you will again share a principle for success with our audience as we get ready to close out.
Relationships are royalty. Relationships are royalty. Relationships are royalty. Do not bypass a moment to cherish and embrace relationships, whether it's with your family or with people that God just brings into your presence. So my meeting everyone that I meet, I always ask, well, why was this? Why did I meet this person? What was my reason for being in their life? So what am I going to impart? Okay. And so, and what's supposed to be imparted into me? But don't move through life so fast that you don't take advantage of the value of good, effective relationships. Don't run through life so fast and you're making excuses to your family members about, yeah, because I'm out here making this money, and you didn't take time out to really enjoy the value of relationships. Okay? You never know who you're going to need in the future, so you got to be careful with relationships. Relationships are royalty. You will not become wealthy without cherishing them.
That's a word.
Good stuff. Good
That's
stuff.
a word.
I guess someone says something like relationships are almost like currency. You treat it like money. You have to value it. You have to guard it. You have to protect it. You have to invest it and all that type of stuff. So thank you so much for that.
Your net worth is your net worth.
Love it.
Yeah.
One more time for the person in the back.
Love it.
Your net worth is your net worth.
Good stuff.
That's a word.
You know what? I hope we have shared some information with you that could help you in some way this evening. We talked about National Bullying Prevention Month, which is in the month of October. So I hope you, again, can look that up, share some information in some way, do your part in helping to prevent bullying. Our guest, again, LaTonya Brown, thank you so much for being with us this evening as we help to shed some light on this. We certainly appreciate you and all the contributions that you have made, not only in the community and the school in which you serve, but how you continue to help us to strive to be better in wealth management as well. So thank you for that. It's been a great, it's our first kickoff of the Chris Howell podcast. Well, in terms in this video aspect of it anyway, we've been doing the Principles for Success podcast since 2015, but again, we're bringing it back in a video aspect. Joining me is Hawk and Coco. And we're going to come and from time to time and bring you some information to help you to move forward beyond where you are today. A couple of upcoming events I want to tell you about real quick. Be sure to catch out Saturday, October 30th. We're going to be partnering with the Community Greater Council of Dallas for a conversation around the All of Us research program. That's a program regarding medicines and how many times if we don't participate in research, we can't get the medicines that we really need because we haven't been involved in the research process aspect of it. So we're bringing that to you on Saturday, October 30th. Tuesday, November 9th, we're going to have a men's health discussion. That's a virtual discussion. It'll be here on, it's going to be on YouTube. You have to catch it on YouTube. So again, thank you for logging on. Again, you've heard our principles for success for this evening. And I want to encourage you, if you came in on any part and didn't catch the entire broadcast, then go to Chris Howell's YouTube channel. You'll catch it there, or also at chrishowellonline.com. Until the next time, take care of yourself.
To learn more about Principles for Success and Chris Howell Communications, visit chrishowellonline.com. Once there, access our media archive and find out about the other ways that Chris Howell Communications can inspire, impact, and inform.